we're covering the most insane VYSE combos that are going to be possible upon our release. Make sure to stick around to the end because the last one will literally make the game impossible to play for the enemies. The first one we're going to talk about is her tripwire and raise nade combo. As we've all seen from the leaks, the tripwire will slow the enemies and do some damage when they moved. Therefore, if you throw your trip down and then throw a raise nade when it gets activated, they'll pretty much be guaranteed to die from the nade as they're slowed down and they'll take more damage as they're moving. The next one we're going to cover is the wall plus any type of molly in the game. As we've all seen, the wall activates as someone passes through it. Therefore, you're isolating a 1v1 or maybe even a 2v1 depending on how close together the enemies are. But let's think about this in the scenario as on Haven. If you place your wall deep down C long and then wait for it to activate and throw a molly down, there'll be nowhere else for the enemy to go except from forward, where you can kill them when they come out the molly, or they'll just die to the molly itself. The next one we're covering is the trip plus any type of flash in the game. Even her own flash, which is her signature ability. She could activate the flash as soon as the trips go off, as to blind multiple enemies at once as they're trying to enter the site, especially if their wall goes off as well. This will help immensely when waiting for your teammates to rotate if you're anchoring the site as VYSE. The next one's going to be really situational, but you could use the Sage wall and the VYSE wall to trap enemies in a specific area. This could be used maybe when the bomb's ticking down, or maybe to throw a molly in there and get a few cool kills. This one's less useful and would more just make a funny clip, but I still think it's worth including because we want to cover everything possible. The next one I thought would be really interesting. I'm calling it the double flash because in theory what you could do is place your VYSE flash on the other side of a wall where you know the enemy's hiding behind, and then flash with maybe a breach flash or a sky flash on one side and pop your VYSE flash the other side. Therefore it's an impossible flash to dodge and you can push to take space or maybe even just hold an area. This next one I'm really interested about because I'm not sure if it'll work how I think it will. I'm thinking of Cloves Decay plus the trip because we know that the trip does damage when you move around in it, and when you're decayed you get put on low health. So therefore, would you be able to die quicker when you were walking around while decayed? This next one is kind of similar to one we mentioned earlier, but for this one I'm thinking the wall plus a Razor, because as we know the Razor is kind of situational. You have to know when to pop it, you have to make sure you're not going to get killed before you shoot it, and you have to know that there's enemies there to shoot. So if you pop it as soon as you hear the VYSE wall go off, it's almost a guaranteed kill because they can't run away from it. We're now going to go over a few more wall combos. So the wall combined with the Astra Stun could lead to some free kills, because obviously you get the info that the wall's popped and you know exactly where they are. So you can pop an Astra Stun, or you could even a Breach Stun, anything like that, to be able to peek and get a free kill on that 1v1. The next wall combo I was going to talk about was the wall plus the Ice Dead Vulnerable, which works in a similar way to how the stun would, where you could just peek and get a free kill. However, this is slightly different because if you use your vulnerable in the right way, you'll be vulnerabling the other enemies that are hopefully behind the wall, which you could follow up with a molly. This next one is kind of something that's already exists in the game, but this kind of makes it more usable. So we all know that when you kill someone with a chamber orb, it leaves a slow where they died, making it easier to kill anyone that's gonna re-peek that angle. However, you could do this same concept with the VYSE trip, where if you play an AWP backside and when the trip goes off, you peek the player and they'll be slowed and taking damage, so it should, in theory, be a free kill. And here we have the last one that I'm going to cover in this video, and I do think this is going to be absolutely game changing. So I was thinking about the ult plus a K ult, because we know that the VYSE ult removes the ability to use your primary weapon. So therefore you're stuck with just your abilities and your classic or whatever sidearm you have. But then combine that with a KO ult and they also have no abilities. So therefore they're just stuck with their sidearm. So if someone bought a Marshall and a Shorty, they're stuck with a Shorty. If someone just bought a classic, they're stuck with a classic against all your full buys, which will make retaking absolutely insane. It'll make rounds free. If you enjoyed listening to me waffle for the past 5 minutes, go down below, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and comment down below which one you think is going to be the most game changing.